Let's talk about goal setting, productivity, and what are some things that you can do so that you're actually achieving your goals. I have 5 things to share with you, so let's go. We're talking about something that I haven't quite shared on this channel very much, even though it kind of makes sense, but I don't know. I think I was always kind of separating in my mind the idea of productivity and planning and mindfulness, because I was always viewing planning and journaling as a really mindful activity rather than with the end goal in mind of just really achieving our goals. But it's quite funny because I actually do use them for that purpose. So anyways, in today's video, we're going to be talking about my top 5 recommendations of how you can actually utilize your planners and all of the things. What can you do if you wanted to be more productive and moving the needle and achieving your goals? So if you wanted to see all of my recommendations, then just stay tuned. And if we've never met, my name is Meshi and I am the person behind Aligned Plans. I'm also a mindfulness-based coach and a wellness practitioner, and I'm really here to talk to you about how you can infuse your day with mindfulness, how you can infuse your day with more presence, and how we can kind of move through our day and using these beautiful stationary tools with a little bit more consciousness behind it, so that we're not just accumulating the things, but we're actually utilizing them so it enhances our lives. So I would start with literally brain dumping. And brain dumping is such a fantastic exercise because it allows you to actually give yourself permission to be heard. A lot of the times we have so many different thoughts in so many different categories of our lives, and if we're never really putting it all out on paper, it can really fluster and it can really clutter up our minds. So having an outlet where you just kind of brain dump everything that's in your head, even if it doesn't make any sense. It could be reminders, it could be a to-do list, it could be a sequence, it could be an idea, an inspiration, a download, a dream, whatever it is. Having an outlet, like putting it on paper, it gives you the chance to completely empty out everything that you have within your mind, so that after that, all that's left is just what is happening and what you're perceiving in the present moment. That would be number 1. I think that sometimes we're not really being productive because we're kind of dwelling on and overwhelming ourselves with things that we haven't actually had a chance to process yet, which kind of goes into how you're journaling, but we're not really here to talk about improving your journaling skills. I'm really here to talk about how we can improve our productivity routine. So number two is reviewing what was working and what was not working in the past. Sometimes when we're trying to create new routines and new habits, we kind of look back on the past with a sense of shame and guilt. It's really rare that most of us have the awareness around looking at the past with a sense of grace and with a sense of kindness, because we tend to be pretty hard on ourselves. I know I am. So when you're looking back on and you're reflecting, getting into the habit of doing regular reflection can be a fantastic way for you to get started if you're brand new to reflecting. But honestly, doing reflections in a really productive way where you're not only reviewing what was not working and what was out of alignment and what actually got you kind of stumped in achieving your goal, it's also important to see what was working, because what was working will give you key insights into how you function as a person, what makes you tick, what is your driver, what is the thing that can easily distract you, and what is the thing that can throw you completely off benter. So reviewing what has worked for you in the past is just as important as reviewing where you made your mistakes. Number 3 is look at your schedule right now and what do you have space for, and how are you willing to make a commitment to achieving those goals, because keep in mind that the things that you're setting your eyes on will require a different version of you than the person who's perceiving this at this present moment. And the reason for that is because if your current version of you could actually achieve the thing, then you would have already achieved it. Right? So whether that's a fitness goal, whether that's a financial goal, present version of you has not achieved that thing yet. Future version of you has. So seeing what your future version of you looks like, and then you can kind of start seeing the gaps along the way of what is future version of you doing, how is that version of you functioning, what are those habits, and what are things that we're no longer doing, can be the key for you to kind of work your way backwards from that. And honestly, don't get too hung up on how we're going to get there, because as you start doing, this picture will look fundamentally different than how it looks today from our perceived mind versus when you're doing. Because half the time when we're actually doing, we're getting significantly far more feedback than when we're just conceptually thinking about something. Let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is focus on one thing at a time. And this is probably going to be the most challenging thing that you will do, because we are trained and socially conditioned to not only be bombarded with multiple things all at once. We're definitely, as a society, moving towards having significantly shorter attention spans. An example of that would be looking at more short form content being more popular. So things like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. We're really training and conditioning our mind to have extremely short attention spans so that we don't stick with one thing for too long. Not only that, but that we're bombarding our senses in multiple areas. So for you to just focus on one thing at a time is not only a massive act of rebellion, but it will actually take some training. So because what that will require is for you to completely say no to multiple things, turning off notification on pretty much everything, harness and create the environment where you're only doing the one thing and that's all you're doing. And I know that this will feel really weird and awkward at first, but just know that that's one of the ways that you will be able to get there. So just kind of focus on what the payoff will be rather than how uncomfortable it is. It's uncomfortable in the present moment because we're not used to it, and that's just what it is. Number 5. Number 5 is probably my favorite out of everything, because number 5 kind of goes hand in hand with number 4. Number 4 is all about focusing on one thing at a time, and number 5 is about actually utilizing things like time blocking, where you're not only creating space within your schedule for you to achieve your goal on a regular basis, which that in and of itself, you time blocking and creating space ahead of time, will already prime your brain that you're going to be doing that said activity. So that's 1. Number 2, let's say we're talking about exercise. So if I already am pre-scheduling most of my exercises, then what that gives me, and what I love to actually do, is to just go through my phone and pre-select my workouts for the week. It allows me to see what is coming up. It allows me to get excited about which teacher I'm going to be training with, the type of exercise I get to look forward to. And it literally allows me to become so expansive that I'm no longer questioning not only when that event is going to be coming up, but what it also does, it allows me to stop questioning if I should do it or should not do it. That question never even crosses my mind, simply because I already predetermined way ahead of time that decision has been made, which means that in the present moment, I don't have to contemplate whether I will do the activity or not. I already know it's happening. The other thing that it also does is time blocking in the present moment. It allows me to have a specific time frame. So I know when the activity will start and I know when it will end, which also means that if I'm signing up for a really hard cardio class, or I'm doing my taxes and I'm prepping my taxes, I know that it's only going to be uncomfortable for a short amount of time, and then I get to do something fun. So it kind of achieves 2 things that I don't think many people kind of talk about when it comes to time blocking. It's not just so that you know what is the next task that you should work on. It's so much more than that. It primes your subconscious mind so that you know that there is going to be something uncomfortable that you're going to have to do, or there's going to be an activity that you get to look forward to. So there's that sense of anticipation. And then there's also a beginning and an end time slot within that, because then you know when the activity will begin, you know when it will end. So if it's something that you really don't like doing, that you have to kind of force yourself to do, then you also know that it's only happening for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or however long you're actually blocking that time for. Do that consistently. Just a little side note on that. You do that consistently and your mind will shift from, it will stop fighting you essentially. You will go from, oh, I have to do this to, wow, I get to do this. I had this interesting relationship with running where every time that I would go for a run, it was so uncomfortable. I was always out of breath. I always had to work so hard. And eventually I shifted to, this is fun, I can't wait to go. And those were like the internal messages that were going through my head, because at the end of each run, I felt fantastic. So what I kind of logged into my long-term memory bank was actually the feeling that I had at the end of the run, not how I felt during the run. So even though during the run I was struggling and I felt like a complete failure, and sometimes I would even kind of feel and hear myself talk to myself in a negative way where you're not cut out for this, why are you doing this, this is such torture, whatever. But then by the end, I would feel fantastic. And then I would basically have that little voice with all the doubts kind of dissipate. So what I have done personally is I made sure that every single time that I would schedule the run, I would always think of how I will feel after a run, not so much how I feel during a run. So hopefully that kind of puts things into perspective. And I think that that little shift can make a really big difference in you committing to just kind of follow through the routine of just doing things that need a sense of discipline. Because when you have so much freedom and you're not achieving anything, then that can be kind of a letdown. So when you have a sense of discipline around certain things and using these systems and these tools so that they keep you on track and they keep you accountable, having little shifts, little mindset shifts can make a world of a difference of how you kind of get there. This is all I wanted to share with you when it comes to productivity and when it comes to building your productivity routine. Question of the day, let me know in the comment section below. What is your number one tip that keeps you productive and achieving your goals? I would love to hear from you. Let's talk within the community so that we can all kind of learn from each other. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. If you have enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up, subscribe, do all of the things. And if you wanted to follow for more behind the scenes and more exclusive content, you can also follow me on Patreon as well. Take a look, see if it's in alignment. I would love to have you in that community as well. But of course, just you being here means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video.